Look, a lot of people will tell you that you don't need to be carrying anything more than a handgun for self-defense, and while they're technically not wrong, they're not exactly right either, because yes, you can carry something much more than a handgun, like say for example, a foldable AR pistol. Now you might be thinking, how would you even conceal carry something like that? Well, simple, in a backpack of course. Now, chances are you've seen people online or maybe even know someone running a setup like this and probably wondered, is it actually worth carrying an AR in a backpack when you already carry a handgun? Well, in today's video, I decided to find out. Now, just to be clear, all testing in this video was done legally on private land. At no point did I carry this bag out in public, and I'll explain why later in this video. But first, let's start off with the pros. So one of the biggest advantages of carrying a foldable AR pistol in a backpack is it's a discreet way to carry as long as you're using the right kind of backpack. Now, there are companies out there that make bags specifically designed to carry AR pistols. A lot of them have a clean and minimal look to them. The only downside is, of course, most of them tend to be a bit bulky, and depending on your body size, can just draw unwanted attention. That's why I stayed away from those types of bags and went with something much smaller and more natural to my frame, which helped this setup look way more casual and low profile. Now, let's be real, most people don't even think twice when seeing someone carrying a backpack. They're one of the most common ways to carry things around, but even then, you still want to maintain somewhat of a discreet look. That means avoiding anything that just looks tactical and screams, I'm carrying a gun. Stick with something plain and generic like a classic JanSport. Now, I think it's important to quickly go over the setup. So the primary weapon I'll be using is my 7.5 AR pistol equipped with a 7 arms foldable brace adapter, which for the most part was pretty easy to conceal, which leads right into my next pro, concealment. In most cases, as long as you choose a backpack that's tall and wide enough to fully cover your AR pistol, you should be fine. Now, you'll notice throughout the video, I carried my AR pistol muzzle down. I know some people prefer muzzle up, but there's a specific reason why I didn't go that route, and you'll see why later in the video. Now, some people avoid carrying muzzle down due to concerns about printing, where the barrel may stick out from underneath. Now, of course, the simple solution is just to carry muzzle up, or you can use a backpack with a rigid bottom panel that helps conceal the muzzle and reduce any noticeable printing. Which begs the question, why carry an AR in a backpack at all? Just sounds like a hassle, especially when a traditional concealed carry pistol is far more compact and convenient, right? Well, the answer comes down to one thing: performance. Namely accuracy and power. Now, I don't know about you, but if you told me I had to deal with a serious threat and asked whether I'd rather have a handgun or an AR pistol, I am going with an AR pistol 100%. I can shoot much further and accurate with an AR pistol than I could with a handgun. And then of course there's the ballistics part. Rounds like 223 or 300 blackout far outclass typical handgun calibers like 9mm or 45 ACP. We're talking about significantly more velocity and stopping power. But of course there's a trade-off to all this: speed. Now, I've tried making this draw process as smooth as I possibly could, which is why I went with a muzzle down setup. It just felt more natural to me when I would unzip my bag and reach in. Now, like I mentioned earlier, some people prefer muzzle up, but since I was running this setup with a round in the chamber, I wasn't exactly comfortable with having a loaded firearm pointed at my face. That said, I know carrying with a round in the chamber inside a backpack can make some people feel nervous, and I get it. But for me, there's two main reasons I was okay with it. First, there's a manual safety. Now, some argue that things inside the bag could flip the safety off and even pull the trigger somehow. Now, if you don't know what a Juggernaut Hellfire is, God bless your soul. But if you do know what I'm talking about, this thing sticks out like a sore thumb. And honestly, I even have trouble switching from safe to fire sometimes. It's not exactly easy to accidentally flip the selector switch with this thing in the way. Still, that's another reason I don't recommend using bags with tons of extra pouches. If you're going to carry this way, make sure your pistol is sitting in a clean and dedicated space where there's nothing that can snag, press, or interfere with your gun. But let's be real, things like speed only matter if you actually have your bag on you. And that's where convenience becomes a question you have to ask yourself, because I get carrying a setup like this from point A to point B, but turning it into your everyday carry, meaning waking up every morning, unlocking your safe, and loading it into your backpack, can easily start to feel like a hassle, which usually it does, which is one of the main reasons most people eventually stop carrying this way. But convenience is only one of the reasons some choose to avoid carrying like this. For some, like myself, carrying an AR pistol concealed out in public just isn't even an option legally, because there are certain states like California where you're only legally allowed to conceal carry if you have a permit. And while getting the permit itself isn't the issue, it ultimately comes down to the county itself and whether they actually allow you to add something like an AR pistol to your permit, which unfortunately my county, they don't, which kind of sucks, not because I actually planned on walking around in public with it or anything like that, but just the fact that I can't even legally have it riding in the passenger seat of my car either. Now, let's say hypothetically I did live in a free state where carrying something like this in public was legal. Even then, I personally don't think this would replace my primary concealed carry weapon. If anything, I'll still be carrying my regular CCW on body because realistically, you're way more likely to be able to draw that in the moment than your gun inside your backpack. And that's okay with me, because the way I see it, your concealed carry weapon is what you would use to stop an immediate threat in order to create a window to get to cover and draw your AR pistol. Now, the last thing I see something like a foldable AR pistol useful for is part of a bug out bag. Which I'm personally a huge advocate for, because the truth is you never really know when shit's gonna hit the fan and you might have to ditch your car and make your way home on foot with nothing but the supplies you got on you. So it's reassuring to know you got a bag that can cover your basic needs, and most importantly, you have a tool inside that you could deploy to protect those supplies and defend yourself from any threats that might try to stop you along the way. So that's all I gotta say. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, make sure to like, subscribe. By the way, I am currently hosting a giveaway. Check this video out. So to celebrate hitting 200k subscribers, I am hosting a giveaway on my Instagram and X account. Don't worry, it's simple to join. All you have to do is be a subscriber of the channel and follow either my Instagram or X account, and from there follow steps on either my 200k subscriber giveaway pin post or pin tweet, and you'll be entered for a chance to win. Winners will be picked and announced on June 29th at 8 p.m. Pacific time. So that's it. Hope you guys have a good weekend. Take care and God bless.